Please subscribe so that you never miss an episode, and tell your friends, family, teammates, clubmates, and the people you sit next to in the stand all about us. And if you'd like to leave a positive review, it would really help us with the old algorithm, as it helps other people find us. Thanks for listening, and here's today's show.
It's the offside line.
This is not soccer. Is that clear?
Stanger could be there. Fuck, it's a try! A magnificent try for the 21-year-old.
Brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant.
We wanted to give you a heads up about a great deal from this episode's sponsor, Arnold Clark. We're sure you'll have heard of them. A major supporter of Scottish rugby, they've got an unbelievable Black Friday deal. They've scrummed together thousands of used cars, and you can grab yourself an extra £500 off this Black Friday. Visit your local branch or head straight to arnoldclark.com to get your £500 off voucher. So, what are you waiting for? Don't get caught offside. Kickstart your search for your next car today. Hello, Offside Liners. It's a gorgeous morning in Edinburgh, and we're going to wrap up Scotland's autumn test campaign and dive into some domestic rugby. But first, we're delighted to announce a whole new range of Offside Line merch, which you can now purchase from the site, along with a selection of brilliant rugby books, a one-stop shop for all your Christmas presents. Go to theoffsideline.com and navigate to the rugby gifts on the menu bar. So, Barney, how are tricks at your end, mate?
I'm very good now that we've overcome the various technical problems with our fancy new
backgrounds. Yep, and we got our new kit on display for the merch line as well.
And an added layer of complexity because I've cracked the screen of my laptop, so I'm borrowing my lovely wife's laptop, which hasn't been updated since 1973 or something like that. So we've had a few issues. Pete has had the patience of a saint. So well done, Pete.
We've finally got there. We're an hour behind schedule, but we're up and running now.
Yeah. And I have had to just text message Stuart Bathgate to ask him to kindly cover the Edinburgh press conference, which I'm clearly not going to make anymore. So that's fine.
That?
So 12:30.
Okay,
so.
Very good. We'll get on to Edinburgh shortly. What else has been happening in the world of rugby journalism?
Well, it's been very busy. I was hoping for a bit of downtime after the autumn tests, but it just keeps on turning. We're straight into the SRU AGM tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. So I've been kind of getting ready. We've got a preview hopefully going online this evening for that.
Any key things to be aware of in that?
Well, not really. I mean, I think we discussed briefly. The accounts came out, as part of the annual report, and I think the general view is that, certainly from the SRU's point of view, they're tracking as they've said they would. The deficit was up to 13 million, and it's now down to 3 something, which is going in the right direction. Looking to break even. I think people with better understanding of accountancy than I have, will have questions about how dependent we are on the cost of ticket revenue. It's still very, very dependent on that. There's probably concerns that the cost base hasn't really been reduced a huge amount. It's it's all built on increasing revenue. Whether you can bring the cost base down in modern rugby is a different matter, isn't it? Because there's always more to do. So I don't think. Compared to some of the AGMs we've had in the past, I don't think it's going to be massively contentious on the governance side. There might be a few kind of sharp questions, but Alex Williamson will speak to the press afterwards, and he's bound to get grilled a wee bit about the future of Gregor Townsend, which I suspect we know the answer to, which is he gets his full backing, seeing as he's just signed a contract extension.
Yeah.
But that's probably, from a journalist point of view, that's going to be the talking point, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's interesting about the cost-based thing, because presumably if there were very obvious cost cuts to be made, they'd have done them by now.
Yeah, exactly. So much of the business is salary and pro player salary, and the kind of market it is for pro players. There's not as much. I think they reduce the size of the squads, get it down, but they need to invest as well. It's the kind of thing.
They haven't reduced it that much. Basically, poor old Henko Venter was ditched, and that was pretty much it.
Well, yeah. I suppose they weren't able to push the boat out to keep people like Tom Jordan. There's one or two of those guys. Tom Jordan, Alex Mann? No, Jack Mann. Jack Mann,
yeah.
Who's Alex Mann? Alex Mann plays for Wales, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, yes. He's the open side for Wales, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, there's only so much they can do with the costs. And then it's whether they're spending the money in the right place. They want to invest in Murrayfield. One of the things I thought, one of my takeaways from the autumn test was I thought Murrayfield was not a huge, they spent a couple of million, but, probably mostly cosmetic. But I thought Murrayfield, for whatever they spent, it looked good. It looked a lot better. The back pitches looked a far more attractive place for people to be spending time and spending money crucially from the SRU's point of view. But they want to invest more than that. They have to invest more than that, and it's still an old stadium compared to some of the elsewhere in the world. And if your business plan is to get more and more concerts,
but a nice new stadium costs about £2 billion.
Yeah.
So
No, they're not getting a new stadium. It's about what they can do on a fairly limited budget with the stadium they've got. But I was quite encouraged, but I don't know what your take was. My take on it was that Murrayfield, for not having done huge amounts, it looked.
I didn't notice. I mean, because you said that, and I hadn't been at the USA game, and so I was interested to see what it was be like. But then I thought that the back pitch offering was the same as in the Six Nations, but it had improved massively. But it was, I think it was the same as it was pretty much as in the Six Nations. But that's off the back of the West car park. I didn't go to the north side. Came in the south entrance and didn't see the east either. So it may have improved around there as well. But yeah, I think generally it's been the match day experience is good there.
Yeah,
and as a point was made by in the kind of aftermath of grilling Gregor about his role and his chat about fans' expectations are maybe too high, which has been rightly remarked as being ludicrous that there's high expectations from the fan base because we have won absolutely nothing. We have a very low consistency of winning, and yet time after time after time we have full stadiums.
Yeah,
no matter the opposition. And again, Tonga on Saturday, there's no way that you're getting that many people at Twickenham or Cardiff or even the Aviva to come and watch Tonga. No way.
No, it wasn't, and Cardiff wasn't filled for the All Blacks game. Craig Watson was down there,
and we're going to touch on this, but because they're playing South Africa at the weekend, and I think they've only sold 30,000 tickets.
Yeah, and they've released all their guys. You see all the guys.
Well, that's what we're going to touch on. Both sides have had to. Both sides have had to release release players, but they've only sold 30,000 tickets. You kind of think almost. I mean, that's a kind of break even. By the time you put on security and everything else that you have to do for running the event, I mean, and what they must have to be paying South Africa to have a game outside the window.
Absolutely, and you're just cheapening the brand. I mean, even if they manage to break even or make a wee bit of cash out of it, you're kind of just, pulling games like that. It just doesn't really kind of add to the level of prestige. Longer term, you're just creating this environment where the Springboks coming to town isn't a big thing. It's not as big a thing. It's not got the premium that it might have had. So I think it's a pretty short-sighted move. We've kind of moved on from there. I need to go back talking about the stadium though, because Craig Watson, photographer extraordinaire, will have a go at me because he's got massive beaners bonnet about the lights and the pre-match show at Murrayfield not being of the level that you would get. Certainly, I mean, Paris was unbelievable. Were you in Paris last year? I mean, that was unbelievable.
I wasn't at the game, but on the telly it looked incredible. And then they've just kind of nailed their whole thing brilliantly. And even to be fair, in Wales for the All Blacks game, the way they had the spotlight on the haka was very, very cool.
Yeah, that was cool. So I think we're still, there's still a lot that we could be done to make the game, to make Murrayfield, a better.
In fairness, for those two games, I mean, like Paris, they kick off at like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So they can have the light show where we kicked off against the All Blacks mid-afternoon. So you can't do, and it was amazing. They had the flyover, and the atmosphere was incredible for the All Blacks game. But there's only so much you can do in terms of lighting in mid-afternoon matches.
Yeah, fair enough. I just thought I'd better say it, or Craig will text me, text me angrily. So
let's get Craig on, I want to hear what he wants to, because he's also been at these games. I don't have the first-hand experience of that, but what he would suggest.
Well, I think one of it. It's you got the flyover. It's the spectacularness of it. Lights is his big thing, and I think that's also because he does evening games, and as a photographer, he finds it hard. He thinks that lights aren't great at Murrayfield for getting really good pictures. That's something that's above my understanding.
Because it's always interesting when I watch it on telly. I always think the lighting at, say, the Millennium looks dreadful, especially in the autumn. It always looks dull and a bit lifeless there, which is a much newer stadium though.
Yeah, I don't feel I'm qualified to really comment on it. It'd be worth getting our any listeners that have got in. How good is the pre-match experience? I was talking particularly about the pre-match thing. Not when I started, I was talking about the whole Murrayfield campus, and I think they've done well in terms of there's more to do around the the bars look better, they look more appetising, but I think the pre-match stuff's still a wee bit kind of. Not quite on the same grand scale, but also I'm a bit old school. Like, you don't go to rugby really I'm not against it, but like I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep about the pre-match entertainment because it's like I don't think.
I don't know. At the same time, I think we've kind of nailed that. I thought that, as I say, the flyover was great with the All Blacks game. The tension was massive. having the lone piper and then the a cappella second verse of Flower Scotland is amazing. I mean, it's spine tingling every single time, even though I've now done it, 20 odd times. A cappella, it still gets me every time. It's incredible.
Are you a proper standing there chanting, fist in the air?
Oh, mate, I love it.
Freedom.
Yeah, I keep waiting for the TV
Mil-
camera to get me. I'd be great on the telly if they wanted to find my seat.
Full Mel Gibson.
We're well into it.
Yeah, excellent. Full Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
You,
exactly. But yeah, listeners, please write in, give us your thoughts. Let us know what you think about it all, and if there's any improvements to be made, or if you like me, enjoy how they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's start off by going into last week's results, and let's start with the early fixture in the week, which was the emerging Scotland against Tonga. And you were there, Barney. Tell us about that one, because it got very little, apart from on the offside line, it got very little coverage at all.
Yeah, it was in Scottish Rugby News as well. I should give them credit for that. There was two of us there, you and Booth.
I don't
Robertson.
read that, so I'm sorry. Yeah, I just read the offside line. Sorry.
No, that's all right. That's quite right. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I mean, they deliberately, Michael Lamont, the media manager at SRU, spoke to us the week before or 2 weeks before, saying that they were going to play this game. They didn't want to make a big thing about it. It was a kind of closed door match. But they've had stick in the past about everything being done in secret. So I think they invited the press to come, to get the kind of regular if they wanted to. So that's why it wasn't really bummed up. It was a training match. It ended up being, I think it was meant to be 30 minutes each way. It was going to be 40 when we turned up, and then they told us it's probably going to be 30 each way. Tonga, I mean, pretty much all the guys that played on Sunday, were playing for Tonga. They kind of scored 30 guys over. So, the Big Ben, what's this?
Tamifuna.
Yeah, he was starting
Tamifuna.
it. I mean, what a day for Mikey Jones. The loose head Edinburgh kind of. I think he's at the academy, but he's not played a lot for Edinburgh. Lining up against that big unit, and as you can imagine, the scrum's under a bit of pressure. But they did well. The guys stuck in. Tonga won fairly comfortably in the end, as you. But it's a good hit out for the guys. They were quite.
Who stood out?
Sorry.
Who stood out for Scotland?
From Scotland's point of view, I wish you'd have told me. We were asking this. It was ages ago now. Who stood out?
Freddie
Scotland?
Douglas, and then you had,
the whole back row. The whole back row was the three young Edinburgh boys: Tom Curry, Lee McConnell again, Freddie Douglas. They dug in well.
Ian McVie in the second row. How was he?
Yeah, he was okay. I think. Yeah. I'll have Malky on the text if I don't say some of this. I'm sure he was great. It was a long time. To be honest with you, Burnsy, it was one of these weird games because it was a bit of a training game. The Scotland boys, they were kind of out muscled. Like they were up against big men, but they stuck in well. And it was a good day. I mean, I think it was a wee bit of a shame. Well, it was interesting that they played on the Monday. Poor Tonga, they come over here, they're playing Scotland 6 days later. I don't know why it wasn't a couple of days earlier. I actually asked the Tongan assistant coach that on Sunday, and he said, we had to play when I think they didn't have a choice. And a wee bit me just thinks, good on Scotland for hosting Tonga. But these two they're not treated that well, really. They're coming over here like they're having to take a game against emerging Scotland behind closed doors on a Monday just to get their guys to get hit out and stuff. And you just kind of think we could still do a wee bit better by it's the original story, isn't it? These kind of poorer tier 2 nations. Yeah.
The flip side of that is it's great that we got that fixture for them, though, and it's great for us, the young guys, to get a hit out like that against actual
absolutely.
Test players. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So it was a good day. The wee scrum half that came on, he did well, scored a good try at the end. I was getting mixed up. There's Conor McAlpine and there's Hamish MacArthur. I can't remember which one.
Which one's which?
Came on. Yeah, I can't remember which one came on. Sorry, boys. I'm sure you're very.
The full report is on the offsideline.com. So
yeah, and I've got the right of that.
Yeah, listeners become readers and go and find out actually what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Cole Lamberton, who was kind of part of the setup and then has been out of it. He's been playing well for Watsonians in the Premiership. And he came off the bench, played a tight head prop for. So that's quite good just to see that there is, there's still a wee bit kind of, movement between the top of the, guys in the Premiership are getting a wee bit of a chance to play at that level, which was good to see. And of course, they announced afterwards, or they announced there and then, and we got to speak to Fergus Pringle. That Fergus Pringle's now moving over to be he was the assistant, but he's the full-time head under-20s coach, and he's going to be assisted by Greig Laidlaw and
the great
Sean
Greig.
Kennedy. Yeah. So. With Kenny Murray moving to kind of basically, I think he's going to be Al Kellogg's number 2 in the kind of performance pathway thing, kind of overseeing all age grade teams.
I mean, for all the criticism that David Nucifora has had, I mean, he is getting good people in good positions here in the pathway. It's definitely progress, I would say, for sure, made in that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting there.
A wry smile from you as I say that. But.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah, fair play. So, I mean, you're right. The proof should be in the pudding. I would kind of like to have seen it all done before November. But,
we're here and it's happening. Take what you can. Let's stick in the grassroots then, Barney, and start with some schools rugby. George Watson's College went a couple of miles down the road to Collington to face last year's beaten finalist Merchiston and emerged as 38-15 winners to book a place in the final of the Boys Scottish Schools Under-18 Cup. They will face Strathallan at Murrayfield on the 10th of December. Meanwhile, Ayr booked their place in the final of the Boys Under-18 Youth Club Cup, scheduled to be played at Murrayfield on Sunday the 14th of December after defeating Highland Eagles at Canal Park in Inverness. Ayr will face the winner of the semi-final between Boroughmuir and Curry Chieftains, which was postponed due to frost but might be played as early as this Friday. So that's good to see. A bit of schools rugby.
Excellent. We'll shout out to Alan Lorimer, who is our...
Yes.
I'm not suggesting...
Doyen of schools rugby.
Yeah.
The king.
And that update was mainly based on Alan's good work. Once again, good work over the weekend, collating all the news.
No, that was based entirely on Alan's good work. And you can read the full match reports on the offsideline.com.
Yep.
And it's well worth a read. Alan is superb at that stuff.
It's an amazing effort that he puts in.
No, it's brilliant. In the Arnold Clark Women's Premiership, both Stirling County and Watsonians, the top two teams in the league who have already booked their place in the playoff grand final on the 13th of December, picked up wins this weekend, with Stirling beating Heriot 62-19 and Watsonians beating Corstorphine 26-14. Cartha versus Geary was postponed because of a frozen pitch, and that match has been rescheduled for the 6th of December, but Hillhead Jordan Hill travelled to Biggar and won 45-5. In the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership, GHA welcomed Hoyk to Braidholme and won 14-7. Ayr travelled to the Hawks and powered their way to a 43 victory. Heriots hosted Melrose and won 36-28 to claim the Graham Dull Trophy. A clinical Kelso welcomed what turned out to be a wasteful Watsonians and won 29-17, although the visitors picked up the Clive Miller Cup with a better aggregate score over their two meetings this season. And Curry went down to Selkirk and won 33-22 to not only shake off their borders curse this season, but also cement their place in second in the table. And while we're on the Arnold Clark Men and Women's Premierships, please remember, there is an amazing deal on offer this week from our sponsor, Arnold Clark. They've scrummed together thousands of used cars and you can grab yourself an extra £500 off this Black Friday. Visit your local branch or head straight to arnoldclark.com to get your £500 off voucher. So what are you waiting for? Don't get caught offside. Kickstart your search for your next car today. And Barney, let's move on to the autumn tests. So Saturday, Wales 26, New Zealand 52, Ireland 13, South Africa 24, France 48, Australia 33, Italy 34, Chile 19, and then on Sunday, Scotland 56, Tonga 0, and England 27, Argentina 23. Some brilliant games this weekend. What were your pick of the bunch, Barney?
I'm not sure if it was pick of the... Well, it probably was pick of the bunch. Ireland, South Africa. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, how many cars was it? One.
They were down to 12 at one point, Ireland.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what James Ryan was thinking of. I mean, I would be furious.
But Jesus Christ, like, he has done that loads.
Yeah.
I don't want to get the keyboard warriors in Ireland, especially in Dublin, really fired up here, but I think he is massively overrated, James Ryan, and he has done that kind of thing before and got away with it.
Yeah.
And what a moronic thing to do right then.
Totally. He killed his team. Yeah, totally killed them.
Mm-hmm. Totally unnecessary.
Yeah, so I mean that was just. I mean, it sounds a bit miserable. That'd be my moment of the weekend, just because. I mean, fair play to Ireland. They were like
how they hung in there.
Yeah, the scrum was absolutely. It was just. I mean, they just held on. Somehow. Just that bloody mindedness that they have. You have to give Ireland credit for that. They're so.
It was incredible how they hung on.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah. So that was. I think that was the game of the weekend from my point of view, just because it was bizarre. You don't see things like that very often. Really enjoyed that.
Did you see Matt Williams, formerly of this parish, his comments on? So he thinks that he's a fair play South Africa, but they need to depower the scrum now. It's a dangerous weapon.
Dangerous weapon. Yeah, well,
what a something he is.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. What was that? Was that on his RT or something?
That's his article. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think so. I don't think so, Matt.
The only thing I would disagree with on the whole, in terms of the structure of scrummaging and penalising weaker scrums, is I don't think it should always lead to a yellow card.
Yeah.
If if you get powered back over your line and you give away a penalty try, unless you have dangerously tried to collapse the scrum on your opposition prop or front row generally to prevent the drive, if you're just overpowered and you're popped up, there's no reason to give a yellow card for that because you've just been done in the scrummaging.
Yeah, and it's totally self-defeating. I mean, I know it's different now because it's not like you pick your best team and then you put the second best guys come on. So but if a guy's not able to cope with that pressure in the scrum, carding him, like, that's not going to fix the problem.
Yeah, and that's not one person either. Like,
it's just going to make that scrum less strong. Yeah, like, it's going to weaken that scrum, so it's just going to exacerbate the problem. So it's
only
a logical.
An absolute superhuman could come on and also change the picture for the referee that they've managed to get parity or dominance over the opposition. If they were suddenly starting to go forward in the scrum, the referee would be like, right, there's something's gone wrong here. There's something nefarious happening in the front row, and I'm going to penalise you again. But there shouldn't be yellow cards for that.
No, I agree.
Poor old Paddy McCarthy coming on and getting done, and then he's yellow carded. Like, that is it's just a penalty. And
no, I agree with that. I agree with And the cards thing was interesting this weekend. I felt a bit sorry for Tonga, the number of cards they got.
Yes, I agree with that too. And like the yellow card for the going for the intercept, unless you're actually like spiking the ball into the ground deliberately to stop the action.
Yeah.
You kind of think of the idea that you have to go for two hands. So who was it that went for? It was a South African player in that game. I think it was Damian Willemse went for an intercept, and the referee rightly just said that's just a knock on because he went for two hands. But you go rewind a week or 2 weeks, and Jack Dempsey's brilliant intercept off Cam Roygard. That was a one hand gather, and then he set off. And 99% of intercepts are done with a one hand gather. Because that's the dynamics of your body to stretch into the space. And I think unless you're deliberately, a couple of meters out and you're spiking the ball down to kill off an attack, it shouldn't be a yellow card.
No, I agree.
Especially an open field like that, where you're miles away.
Oh, I mean, they weren't going to score, and the context of the game as well. I mean, Tonga, it wasn't. It was just
they're up against it anyway. Yeah,
yeah. We don't need to worry too much about consistent. Like, we need to have consistency, but I don't think anybody would go, well, this guy's still be on the park. Like, it didn't help the game. It added no value, and it detracted from the game to my mind. It just, you think, there's not much fun watching Tonga get absolutely stuffed, and there's even less fun watching Tonga get stuffed because they play most of the game. And you can say, it's their fault for their lack of discipline.
Half the game with 14 men.
And you can blame them for their lack of discipline a wee bit, but, just a bit of common sense, I think. So anyway, I wasn't really impressed with that. I think, but I like Ireland. They got all those yellow cards. I think it was probably quite hard getting all these yellow cards from scrum time. I thought it added to the weirdly, conversely, opposite from what I'm seeing with Tonga, it added to the occasion just because it was so kind of bizarre, or
chaotic, and it was
I mean, from a neutral's point of view, I mean, I think if it was Irish, I'd be pulling my hair out, but from a neutral's point of view, it definitely made it much more entertaining. So yeah, enjoyed that.
And I don't know if I would. Yeah, I wonder if they are pulling their hair out though, because it was just like such dominance, and even like Sam Prendergast getting the team yellow card because the pressure they were under was just so enormous. Yeah. And it was, I think anyone pulling your hair out is really South Africa going, we were, because of the dominance in the game physically and because of the cards, they should have won by 30. It shouldn't have been as close as it was.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
But I thought another cracking game. I really enjoyed France-Australia. There were some amazing moments in that game. And for Australia, being on their knees to push it as close as they did for, until like the 70th odd minute when it kind of broke out at the end. But a brilliant game.
Yeah. Well, Craig Watson wound me up on Saturday night. He said, I can tell when you haven't seen a game and you try and pretend that you know what's going on. So I'm not going to... So I didn't watch the France-Australia game, so I'm not going to try and pretend...
okay, no, it was good. It's well worth going back to watch the highlights.
I will go back and watch it, yeah.
And in particular,
there's too much rugby on. I mean, it's just
there is, especially if you've got to write about it afterwards.
Yeah, with the best will in the world, there's just not enough time to watch all those games. But yeah, I'll take your word for it, Pete, and I'll try and watch it when I get a chance.
So, and then the other one, I'm afraid I will hold my hands up and say I didn't watch Italy beating Chile.
No.
But England, Argentina, great denouement, some amazing tries early on, especially the how good Max Ojomo was with his crossfield kick to Mane Boso was a brilliant, incredible bit of skill on your first home start. I think maybe his first start, and coming into the team, that he was absolutely brilliant. And then, but there was a bit of a snore fest for the first hour or so, and then Argentina came to life, and it got interesting at the end. You kind of think Thomas Gaggio missing that try early on when he dropped the ball. I mean, that is every prop's absolute nightmare, that you cut a great line like that, try line's absolutely begging, but you've looked up and you're thinking about scoring the try rather than catching the ball, and you've knocked it on. That was a shocker for him.
Yeah, that's a lot nightmares for that. And then, I mean, I suppose the Argentinian comeback, to me, it puts what happened to Scotland the week before into a bit of context a wee bit, doesn't it?
I mean they're a proper side. I mean, you kind of think. I'm going to ask you this when we wrap up Scotland's autumn and how we look ahead to the Six Nations. But generally, looking at the teams going into 2 years out from a World Cup, Argentina are a phenomenal side. I think their lack of depth means that they are not really World Cup contenders, but they deserve to go very, very deep, and they could go semi-finals. And depending who they're up against, whoever knocks out other people on the way there, they could make a final. I don't think they'll have the depth to just. They don't have the consistency of performance yet either, but they can beat anybody.
Yeah. So I think you have to say they are contenders in that sense, because it is, the pool's going to be.
I just can't see them winning all. Obviously South Africa didn't do it in 2019 or 23 to go unbeaten, and previously every World Cup you had to win all 7 games to be.
You don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that. Certainly don't have to do it for the next round of the World Cup, where there's so many teams and it's easy to get into the last 16 and through. But on the theory that say that you go back to the traditional way of thinking that you have to win 7 games in a row, I can't see them winning 7 games in a row.
No. Well, probably not. But I think they could. I think they could.
It'd be brilliant for World Rugby to see them do that.
Yeah, and I think they're the ones outside previous winners that I think are probably the Ireland. No,
I'll tell you, the greatest team never to win the World Cup is France. I mean, they.
No, I was going to say
They deserve a World Cup.
Yeah, I was thinking of which teams most likely of the non-previous winners, which teams most likely to go the distance this time. Yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten about France. I'd actually just assumed that France. No, I hadn't assumed, but I was like, you just kind of put France in that category of
Yeah,
and
then like other kind of contenders, you think about. I mean, the All Blacks still finding their way. They weren't great against Wales, and obviously they got done by England, and it just puts into more stark relief what a missed opportunity that was for Scotland.
Yeah.
Because will they be as poor as this again? It's probably not in the next 2 years as they build up to the World Cup. I think they're going to maybe get their timing right. Richie Mo'unga will be back.
Yeah.
They are still weirdly finding their identity under Robinson, but I think they're going to get there.
Yeah, they're going to get better.
And I think a huge thing for them is going to be this tour to South Africa next year, where the missing piece in the puzzle since they kicked South Africa out of Super Rugby is playing that kind of a physical, attritional rugby, high kicking game. They don't get in the current Super Rugby format, and they only get it in the Rugby Championship. But to go on tour, play midweek games, have a 3-test series against South Africa, that is only going to benefit those teams enormously, and especially the All Blacks, I think, then coming into 2027.
I think that's right. Agree with that. Yep.
And Australia, I think if they can find a position for Joseph Akuso Suali'i, maybe not a 13, but maybe 15 or wing, and then if they can find a 10, then they've got a depth chart issue as well. But I still think and they only won 5 out of 15 games this year. But I really think that they are still a coming force if they can sort out those 2 elements, because they've got good centres, they've got a great back 3, but I think he could be better at utilising the backfield, because they don't really he's only 21 as well. He's only 21. He's just and he's still learning Test rugby, but they're not using him that well. Not since last November. Angus Bell gets some bit of hard graft scrummaging up with Ulster. for a season and then go back. And I think they're tracking in a pretty good direction. It'd be interesting to see how Les Kiss gets on, what improvements he makes whenever he takes over from Joe Schmidt. But and South Africa keep on trucking, although they do have an aging team like Ireland. But we'll get onto Ireland shortly. But anyway, Barney, I've waffled for ages there.
Not like you, Pete. Get into international rugby.
I know, sorry. How do we look back on Scotland's autumn?
It's a disappointment, isn't it? It's very frustrating. Like, Tonga wasn't going to change anything. They did what they had to do. 58-0. I mean, they're the only team that's nilled anybody in this autumn. They've done it twice, but like that doesn't really mean so much.
Yeah.
No. And I think I think it felt like, I think the Argentina game, and I'm not saying anything that other people haven't really reached the same conclusion, was a tipping point, really. I think a level of frustration bubbled up at that point that wasn't as widespread before. And I think Gregor's under a lot of pressure now going forward because of that. I think he's kind of, like the stuff that went on last week, the Thursday he did the team announcement press conference, and that was pretty brutal for him. I think he knew it was coming, but I don't think he was really ready for it. And, he got a really hard time, and he's now in that place where people are, and you see it a lot in football, is you can't win. No matter what you say, it's going to be interpreted, or it's going to be taken, it's going to be used against you almost. Like that line that you talked about there about, we don't have a right to beat Argentina and New Zealand. And he's right about that. But the way it wasn't really that well thought through from a communications point of view in those circumstances, because you don't tell your fans that they shouldn't.
I think the only
expectations of
people
you.
that you could possibly find who would expect to beat those teams are people that do not are the most armchair of armchair fans who have no idea how good Argentina actually are.
Yeah.
Any actual rugby fan would understand that the target is definitely 3 out of 4, and the third game being Argentina to win that game. But it'll be hard. But that's the hope. At home, we would beat them, and then maybe pull off something historic against the All Blacks going into it. But I think
don't say it. The problem was, like, it was the wrong thing.
There's certainly no expectation generally that is what.
Yeah, but it was. I don't think it was a clever. Entitlement. Yeah, I don't think it was a clever thing to say it, because I don't think it's I don't think it's really true, and B, it wasn't really about we should beat Argentina, and the people that are really annoyed. It wasn't it was that we blew a 21-0 lead. If Argentina had come out and played like they had from the start to the finish, people would be frustrated, but they'd say, listen, the better team won on the day. They blew it, and they've blown it like that too many times in the past, and that's why people are pissed off. So, I think using the line entitlement was a bit of a... But I feel sorry for him, because I know where he's coming from, and he's just in that horrible place which coaches, managers and football get in, where you can't win. And what could he say afterwards? We're going to learn from... everyone got annoyed with him because they were going to learn from this, we're going to be better. I mean, what else is he going to say? He's got to say... he's got to say that. And I think he's been like a cat on a hot tin roof a wee bit, in terms of he doesn't want to throw his players under the bus. So he's got to be, he can't say too much of that, and anything he does say has sometimes been interpreted as, he's blaming, we've made mistakes as individual errors. I mean, he was at pains not to name names, and it's true, but he gets shit for potentially throwing his players under the bus by he can't win, and so I feel sorry from that. But there's also a bit of a mess of his and Scotland's own doing, because that was an absolute, it was an absolute shambles, and Argentina were brilliant. Their bench is amazing. Like, they've got a different kind of bomb squad. It's not like necessarily bringing on all the big beasts, like Carreras and stuff. Like they did the same against England. But Scotland should have been better than that, and it's not the first time it's happened. The Wales. He pushes back when you bring up Wales because they held on for the win. But it was still a warning sign.
It was so hairy, yeah.
And the
the
Italy
same
game
happened last year. If it hadn't been for Blair Murray vaulting Tom Jordan or whoever it was that he vaulted, they were right back in that game too, and it was
exactly
it was.
And then there's
big time at that stage at home.
Yeah, and then there was the Italy game, which they did lose, which was I mean that one distressed me more than the Argentina game personally on a personal level. I think because it was the Six Nations, I think we'd started off quite well, and we'd all fallen into that. This could be our year, and it was just such a. So I thought that was actually a far more damaging. It should have been, in terms of my expectations for the team, that was the one that really... And that's probably why I've probably not been as kind of irate about it as a lot of people. And it's probably because I think I had that moment when they lost to Italy 2 years ago. Well, last year, 2024.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I think Gregor's in a really tough place now. He's not going to lose his job. He's made it very clear he's not walking.
No.
I don't think losing to Argentina, despite the circumstances, is a sacking offence.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just trying to work out. I think
yeah.
you've got to just go. I think just like the wild swing of that atmosphere against the All Blacks, which was incredible, to a week later where the team are getting booed off the pitch. And also the first 50 minutes of that game were fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was just the nature of that collapse and the weird. I think his where the buck stops with him is over the selection of the bench and how he used them or how he didn't use them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't understand.
He didn't throw on every tool at his disposal to try and stem the tide or to win the game at the end.
Which is kind of out of character for him. I've always had the impression that he's a kind of bold selector, isn't he? In terms of like picking your team, playing guys in certain positions, picking guys because he sees something that he thinks is going to work. And I've always I probably should analyse it more, but I've always thought like he's been pretty. He's never been shy about using his bench. And we asked him about it. I didn't ask him about it straight after the game, which I regretted about the bench. He alluded to it. He said he thought when Blair King got sent off, and that's about the time that you're probably using your bench. He didn't think it was the right time to do it when they're down to 14 men. I mean, I don't know if that makes a real difference. And, he didn't really have an answer when we spoke about it on Thursday at the team announcement. I mean, I asked him about, I can't get my head round bringing on Duhan to play on the wing and moving Kyle Steyn into outside centre. And when you've got Tom Jordan on the bench, because at that point, the thing was going against them. And to me, it was made for Tom Jordan. Tom Jordan's an aggressive, hard-nosed guy that just likes, an intelligent rugby player.
Move Sione out to 13, put Tom Jordan at 12.
And just have him knocking people over. I mean, there's always a danger that he goes high because he's got a wee bit of history there. But I thought, and, Gregor's take was that Duhan's a guy that can change a match. We wanted to go out and win it. Which I actually thought this was kind of perhaps gets at why we have this problem with Scotland or why this keeps happening. Gregor's attitude was, we know Duhan can win a game for us, so we just wanted to get him in the game. He scores a try. Presumably he scores a try from nowhere or, from running over 5 people, and the whole thing swings back his team's way. And I wonder whether that's where we get to, it's, battening down the hatches. We've still, Gregor's philosophy of rugby is we will win, we'll beat teams, and actually sometimes you need to get in front and then not lose. And we didn't do that. We carried on playing the way we did before. And I think that bleeded into the way we kept on. He's quite obsessed with the kicking game at the moment, and we kept on kicking. The players just looked programmed to kick. And at that point, we just need to put up the jumper and just not let them have the ball. And it was almost like we were still trying to win it from a winning position, whereas we actually just needed to not lose it at that point. So I wonder whether that's. I mean, I think it's going to be a whole myriad of things. I don't think you can just say it's one thing, but I wonder whether part of the problem Scotland have is that they don't. It's not that they don't have game plan B, but the philosophy is, we do what we're good at, and we stick to what we're good at, and we don't get put off by what's going on around us. And actually, maybe we need to.
Devil's advocate, people would say, well, the players themselves should be the one managing those situations in the game. But if it was easy enough to do that, and there obviously are many occasions where that does apply, but otherwise you wouldn't have a coach. You wouldn't need a coach to be able to sit in the stand at an elevated position with monitors and people you can talk to calmly in a box to then look at where space is, how momentum's shifting, and looking at the the pattern of play on the field from an elevated position. Because I remember speaking to, I think it was Mossy when I was doing this Murrayfield book, and we were talking about, I can't remember which game it was, but anyway, he was just saying you don't understand when you're on the pitch. It looks so easy from the stand, where you can see the space. He goes, when you're on the pitch, you can see nothing. And I think we're talking actually in the context of Finn and how he is able to manipulate teams, and his passing and his kicking is world class. And he goes, when you're on the pitch and everyone is 6'4" and they're coming at you at 100 miles an hour, it is so hard to see space. And that is why, that is what Gregor's job is to go, if the team are not managing that momentum, or playing that style of game to close it out or to just get more control over what's happening, that is the messages have to come down from the box.
Yeah.
It's not micromanagement. It is getting an elevated position and passing that message on about how to manage the game.
Yeah, and I think that's right. So, but the players aren't absolved from blame as well, and I think they know that themselves. But it's just happened too many times, hasn't it? It's just, and there's always. I mean, one of the things that the players and the coaches have all said this week is it's managing momentum shifts. Momentum shifts are so hard, you don't understand how, and I'm sure that's right. But it's, we don't manage. Other teams do. Other teams manage it. Like, it's not that they don't. It's we're the only people that have have that to deal with it. So, but you've got to give. We were good enough to get 21-0 up. So the guy knows something about rugby. He knows something about how to set up a team to get in a winning position. So I think there's a lot of anger out there, and I get it. And I actually felt there's a lot of people that I spoke to who, there's been grumbling about Gregor for a while. And part of Gregor's problem is he's been there too long, and B, there's this perception, whether right or wrongly, that he's been marking his own homework. He's never really been accountable because there's been either no director of rugby or a weak director of rugby or an absent director of rugby. So there's been a bit of grumbling about him for a while, about Gregor about he's been there too long. He gets it all his own way. Who's he accountable to? But I felt certainly the week after that Argentina game, the number of people that were less of that, it seemed to be a lot more people kind of shifted over to that side. That was the final straw for them. They were kind of still on board with Team, Gregor and then it was like, I think they just began to feel this has gone on for too long. We're just in this kind of cycle that we can't seem to break.
So anything, you get a new coach and you give them some time to bed in, evolve their team, evolve their coaching staff, make some progress. And so it's much more forgiving. But then you look back now and you're like, for all these years, coming up 9-10 years, his best is a third place finish in a Six Nations, and he's never beaten Ireland or South Africa or New Zealand, and we've bombed out of 2 World Cups in the pool stages.
Yeah.
Nothing we could really have done about 2023, but results under his tenure led to us being third in the pool in the seedings, and Japan was a shocker. As a World Cup.
Japan was a shocker. Yeah, absolutely.
So you just look across the body of work and you go like, there's no evolution anymore in your coaching. So
and 2023,
I think that's where the frustration comes from fans, I think.
Yeah. In 2023, you're right. I think, at the start of that tournament, you're thinking it would be one hell of an effort to get out of a pool with Ireland and South Africa. But Ireland, we got to do it. It wasn't even close. I remember 50 minutes in and they're taking off Omani and all these guys, like Sexton, all these guys are coming off because and so it didn't, because we didn't really, losing to Ireland was one thing, but it was a no-show, really, and I think that kind of lingers as part of the kind of whole body of work, is why people are now doubting whether Gregor can get them. Well, they will get out of the pool at the next World Cup, but whether he's the man to really drive it on. And I think we need to shut up about this golden generation stuff. But if you're looking and you think guys like Finn, this is going to be their last hurrah, and is there enough confidence that things have changed enough, or that we can that it's going to be any different from previous ones? I mean, one thing I would say, Burnsy, is what's Franco Smith. I'm not convinced Franco Smith suddenly fixes everything.
No, I'm not either. I'm really not.
Yeah,
I think we said this before when we talked about the contracts, that I still wasn't sure at the time when it happened that Franco would even get the Scotland job eventually.
Yeah.
And that obviously remains to be seen, but I also don't think that he is the sudden answer to it all.
No. I mean, he's come in, he's done well at Glasgow. He inherited a really strong, talented, big depth Glasgow team that were massively underachieving. And he had a good season, and he had a better season. And then, I was going to say they plateaued this last season. This season, we'll worry about the season at the moment, but the last season, they didn't maintain that level. So we're in danger of doing that classic Scottish thing. That a guy has a couple of good years or a couple of good games, and suddenly it's the solution to all our problems. And I suspect the SRU look at it and think, I mean, he played. He was a bit cute about trying to kind of, he didn't rule out all these job offers elsewhere. No. He's made it clear, and he's been quite outspoken, or he's certainly made it clear he doesn't like some of the decisions that are made in terms of who he's allowed to recruit or who he's not allowed to recruit. So I don't suppose the SRU are massively, happy with him or find him an easy guy to manage as well. So if you're looking from Alex Williamson's point of view, You're thinking, do I need that from the guy who's running the national team? So I'm just not convinced that Franco. And if it's not Franco, then who is it? There's not a lot of options elsewhere.
There's not.
I don't think so.
There's really
you've got
not.
to be careful what you wish for.
Oh, this is the problem. You know, like who are the other options? There's really not many out there.
Yeah.
So positives. What positives can we take? The New Zealand game was amazing. The atmosphere was fantastic. Xander back. Only did 35 minutes against Tonga, but not troubled in the scrum. But wow, like his carrying and just what a physical player he is and a good ball player. It's great to see him back. Gregor Brown was good. I thought Jamie Ritchie was great in that final run out. Ewan Ashman, I think he's cemented himself as number one. Jack Dempsey was very good. Rory Hutchison came in and was very good. Kyle Steyn, great the way he played.
Darcy Ray has, he's come in and, we're always going to have a problem at tight head, but there's another guy there that you think if,
I think Will Hurd's good too, as another option. So I think we've got some. It's not they're not of the caliber of Xander, but we have got some backup.
Yeah, they do quite often say in the team announcements, the coaches say, we've now got 4, we've got real strength and depth there. We don't have strength and depth there, but we're probably not as exposed as we might have been. We might have thought we would be at the start of this year when we realised that Xander wasn't going to be around for it. So I think there's definitely 3 or 4 guys, quite a few of them who've been around the squad for a long time but seem to be drifting out of it or weren't getting there, have come back into the fore and will push their way for the Six Nations, like Rory Hutchison, Jamie Ritchie. I'd have Jamie Ritchie in every day, to be honest with you. Probably open side at the
Grant
moment.
Gilchrist still showing you can do it. I mean, I think the time is coming for new blood in the second row alongside Scott Cumming, but he performed really well, Gilchrist, way beyond my expectations for him.
Yeah, I'd still like to see Max Williamson and Alex
Max
Samuel.
Williamson and Alex Samuel, they're the guys. They're the guys stepping up next.
We just need to. They just need to let them run now. I think.
And another highlight was the centenary shirt for the All Blacks game. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that's right up your street, Burnsy.
Yeah, I love that. I love
have you
that.
Got
and
one?
also,
have you got one?
And I don't actually. I probably missed the boat now as well.
Hint in for Christmas.
Yes,
Julie.
Another thing was, I think, the value of Hugh Jones. I mean, as good as Rory Hutchison was, just that synergy that he has with Sione is. I mean, it's just, and he was named in the World Rugby Dream Team of the Year, Hugh Jones. So, I mean, his value has gone up with his absence. I mean, the way they play together is just such a dangerous attacking weapon and defensively for Scotland.
Yeah.
So the sooner he gets back, the better. Do we know? Is there a time frame?
I think he's aiming for this. I think he's aiming for the 1872s. I think.
Okay.
That's. I think listeners. So don't take my word for it. But I'm pretty sure that's what he's aiming for. Yeah.
Let's look ahead to the Six Nations. We'll do a proper preview as well. We'll probably do it when we do our end of year wrap up. We'll get Mark and Craig on for that, as we did last year, and we'll do it ahead of the Six Nations. But from this point of view, what we're thinking. I mean, we're still a million miles away from competing for a Six Nations title.
Yeah.
Wales and Italy remain our minimum targets, but both will be looking to take us out in Cardiff and Rome. We're definitely the one that they are looking to target and roll over. England look formidable, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see them win in Edinburgh for the first time since 2020. Ireland are getting a bit older, but they absolutely hate us and will want to keep us in our box when we go to Dublin. France might be actually the only one that we have a chance of turning over at home from the big guns, but Antoine Dupont will be back, plus a whole load of guys who have been injured and missed the autumn, and they've got some new breakout stars like that guy Calvin Gourget who came on, if I pronounce his name right. I mean, what a player he looks. So it might be wishful thinking on my behalf. But what do you think our expectations should be, Barney?
Are you predicting a 0 from 5 there, Burnsy? Is that what you were saying?
No. I think we should do Italy and Wales away.
Yeah.
And we might turn over France, but that's maybe wishful thinking. But
I think
Christ, Italy and Wales, we are like, apart from each other, we are the one that they want.
Yeah. I think 2 is, and I think that's perhaps why there's been so much kind of fallout over the Argentina game, which was the kind of the realization that this is our level now.
Yeah,
like really,
we're rightly in the third. We're not in the third tier, but we're in the second tier, very much in the mix with those second tier teams.
Yeah. So I would say I think two's the realistic target. I don't see us beating France, to be honest with you. Just no.
We do play well against France.
Mm-hmm.
And
when do we play them? When about in the tournament is it?
So we have Italy away first on the 7th of February. Then we have England on the 14th, Wales on the 21st. Then there's a break. And then we have France on the 7th of March and Dublin on Super Saturday to finish off on the 14th of March.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah. We need that. We need to win the opening game in Rome, but they are going to be absolutely steaming out their ears for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have England at home, and as I said, they look like a real package right now.
Yeah. Well, who's your tip for the tournament? Who's your tip for the championship?
I think so. England, do they have France at home this year? Yeah, they must do because they lost in Paris last year. Or this year. So I think I've got England for the tournament and maybe a Grand Slam.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I did have a wee chuckle. I was about to commit podultery, and I was going to listen to the Times, and I saw the headline was for their last podcast after, are England now the only challengers to South Africa? I thought, boys, you do this all the time.
Yeah, I know. It's very easy to say when they haven't played them.
Yeah, no, exactly. I can't remember the exact. I'll look up the exact wording of it, but I just did think, they just don't do this to yourself, guys.
I know,
but sadly,
but also,
not sadly, but
no, I mean they have got incredible strength and depth. But as we've alluded to before, or said in this pod before, every team in the world, apart from maybe South Africa, if you take out one or two key players, your whole team changes in a most dramatic fashion. Like nobody has two 15s basically, apart from South Africa.
Yeah. So that was it.
And they're like injury free at the moment. And if they had any major, they lost players for the Argentina game, and it went down to the wire. But if they are all fit, then they are they're Six Nations Grand Slam contenders. And if everyone was fit, they're one of the favourites for the World Cup. But I think New Zealand and South Africa and France will have plenty to say about that, and as we said earlier, maybe Argentina as well.
Yeah,
I see Ireland drifting off. I don't want to. Yeah. I'm not reading. The final rights for them, but
we've done that so often. We've been doing that since O'Driscoll and those guys hung up their boots.
Yeah.
And then something comes round. Somebody comes out some private school in Dublin and takes over, and on they go again. So. They're getting older. And Aki Henshaw, Ringrose in the midfield. There are younger guys coming through, but they are not of the same caliber, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gibson Park. There's no one as good as him kicking around. He is head and shoulders.
There's not anyone many as good as him anywhere kicking around. But yeah.
And Prendergast is he's a good attacker, great kicker. Terrible defender, but I wonder if if it was just him and Craig Casey going against 9 and 10, like the influence of Gibson Park on his game as well is massive.
Yeah.
So these guys are getting older.
So that's
I know Hammer is on Super Saturday in March.
God, getting that on Super Saturday. I don't know. Actually, I don't know which one's the best to get on Super Saturday. Actually.
Don't know. But anyway, it's the first game, and then we can get that out of the way. Enjoy the rest of the day. So this weekend's fixtures, there's still an autumn test to go, as we discussed. Wales against South Africa, kick-off at 3:10. It's going to be horrible for Wales. Both teams denuded of players because it's outside the window, but they're still going to get an absolute doing from South Africa, surely. As we said, their depth chart is just so enormous that they can afford to lose loads of players and still be fine. Wales cannot.
It must be grim, your Steve Tandy trying to kind of, I'm sure, the world champion's coming to town's an exciting thing, and you certainly won't say anything otherwise, but, you're thinking, bloody hell, I'm just in the door here. Give me a chance.
And this is the last moment you forgot before the Six Nations. Yeah. This is how everyone's going to remember the team.
Yeah.
And that shirt.
It's just emotional, physical, psychological, like toll of what they've already done and having to do again. It's crazy. I think it's madness. It's and it's not good for the sport. I don't think it just makes it look cheap and desperate, really, to be honest with you.
Yep, it's going to be a long afternoon for them, I think. And then at 5:30 on Saturday evening, URC action back at the Hive. Edinburgh host the Ospreys, and if they don't get a bonus point win against them, then something's wrong, because half the Ospreys side is in that Welsh team to get demolished by the Springboks. So,
have they released I saw a big long list. I didn't really look at that closely. I noticed that Rhys Zammit, but obviously he's because he's in English. Is it just the English-based guys that they've
English-based guys? Yeah,
and they're not released. So it's purely Welsh, or some of the Welsh guys been released as well? Because it's quite a long list.
Is it? I haven't looked, but they're definitely having to release the guys in England. You know, Daffa Jenkins, Rhys Zammit, whoever, I don't know, the guys who are playing at Bristol and Gloucester and Exeter.
Adam Beard. Yeah, so here's the list of players that have been released.
Adam Beard plays for the Ospreys, isn't he?
Yeah, that's why I kind of asked. Wales head coach Steve Tandy has unveiled a 30-man squad that includes 4 new faces after 13 players were released ahead of their clash of Springboks. Saturday falls out the window due to their club commitments. It says forwards Adam Beard, Rhys Carr, Ollie Cracknell, Archie Griffin, Nicky Smith, David Jenkins and Freddie Thomas have all been released, as have key backline players Thomas Williams, Jared Evans, Louis Hennessy, Max Llewellyn, Nick Tompkins and Rhys Zammit. Yeah, so it's not ideal, is it?
No. No. I mean,
it's crazy.
Christ. Anyway, Edinburgh should win that. That should be the expectation, 5 points. And if that doesn't happen, that is a bit of a disaster for Mr. Everett and his boys. But that should happen. And so that's at 5:30 at the Hive, and then Glasgow kick off at 7:45 down at the Scarlets. So again, that should be, surely Franco is looking for 5 points from that game. On Saturday, in the Arnold Clark Women's Premiership, Biggar welcome Cartha, Corstorphine host Heriots, Hillhead Jordan Hill travel to Geary, and Watsonians host title rivals Stirling County. In the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership, we have Friday Night Lights this weekend at Mireside when Watsonians take on Selkirk. That kicks off at 7:35 and is also live on BBC Alba. Then on Saturday, Curry welcome Hawks to Millennium Park. Ayr host Heriots at Millbrae. Hoyk face Kelso at Mansfield Park. And GHA travel down to the Green Yards to face Melrose. Finally, we'd like to give another huge shout out to this week's sponsor, Arnold Clark, who have scrummed together thousands of used cars, and you can grab yourself an extra £500 off this Black Friday. Visit your local branch or head straight to arnoldclark.com to get your voucher. It's the end of this episode, so what are you waiting for? Kickstart your search for your new car now. Barney, any final words before we go?
No final thoughts. I'll be at Friday night. I'm hopefully going to be Watsonians and Selkirk. Looking forward to that. I won't be at any Arnold Clark Premiership games on Saturday because it's Ian and Jane Barnes' golden wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, so well done,
what
Jane Barnes.
What a trooper.
Yeah, what a trooper. She's got the flu at the moment, hopefully she's going to recover in time. So I'm doing that during the afternoon. When you get to golden wedding anniversary, it's not evening parties, it's afternoon parties.
Nice.
Yeah, so... but yeah, I think some good games in there. You know, Ayr Heriots. I think hopefully that's hopefully some of the these young academy backs that were playing for Heriots when they kind of recovered from their ropey start are down there, because Heriots are probably one of the few teams that got a pack that could just about live with Ayr. And then if their young backs have a go, we might see a bit of a contest. Hopefully,
good. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Get down and support your local clubs as well, people. And you'll get all the match reports on the offsideline.com. Right, Barney, I'll see you next week, mate, and we will pick over the bones of everything then again.
Excellent. See you next week, Pete.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
It's the offside line.
This is not soccer. Is that clear?
On goes Stanger could be there. Fuck, it's a try. A magnificent try for the 21-year-old.
Brilliant.